everybody. I'm so glad to have been asked to come and talk to you about Dr. Coleman, Ed Coleman, Dad. He went by all of those names. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. I am so thrilled that you have been selected as the artist for the third mural. It's a very exciting thing, and he would absolutely think you were the best, the champions. So I want to start by saying, when he was your age and younger, he probably would have been one of the ones chosen or selected or who volunteered. I don't know what the process was, but to be a part of making this mural, because he loved being active, he loved school, he loved reading, he loved exciting things like you're doing, this mural. So I want you to know that from the beginning of his life, he was a very active, participating person, participating in everything, learning how to ride his bike, learning how to fix his bike, learning how to swim, even though there was no swimming pool within miles of his home, because he did live in a very small area of Arkansas, which is where he was born. There wasn't a lot for a young black boy to do, but he always seemed to find activities that helped him learn more and more and more. And as he grew, he became just a wonderful reader and listener of everything, and was always volunteering to be a part of school activities. And so I want to thank you and tell you that you are walking right into the kinds of shoes that he walked in. You're being active in your school. You're learning things beyond the regular curriculum. And I want to thank you for that, and he loved it. So to go on to his teenage life, he was the same kind of a teenager that he was as a young man, because by then he was excelling in school studies. He was very, very academically, you might say, motivated.
Okay, now in the second piece, Mama's going to share about Dad's adult life, pretty much after high school. So this is going to be really good.
Okay. After finishing high school in Arkansas, which was quite a challenge. I mean, but he did it because he was determined. The family moved to California, and in California he had a different experience socially and culturally, which we don't need to really go into, but he found that he was much more able to find out how to do many more things in California, because the racial pressure was not so intense that it caused him to feel left out and off track. So that was a good move for the family. He then went on to San Francisco City College, which cost less money, and by then he had a job. I don't remember I think he was a gas station attendant, working evenings. So he talked about being tired a lot at school, but he made it through, because when you go off to college, when you go to college, you don't go to class every single day, and you don't go to that many classes. So he was able to, get little naps or get a little rest in between, and get to his job and get to school and all of that. Think about that. Think of what a challenge that must have been, because he was still only about maybe 20-ish, in his 20s, and managing all of that. and coming home and helping his mother and dad, because by then there were 2 other children born in the family. Anyway, from that junior college experience, he decided he did not have enough money to go to a 4-year college like San Francisco State or anything like that. So he decided he would enlist, and that means he would join himself or try to join the Air Force, because he thought that was a very substantial part of the military. And so he enlisted. They interviewed him and whatever all they do to take you into the service. He was brought into the service. As he worked his way through, I guess, boot camp or whatever, he was found to have skills that caused him to be moved up in rank to maybe a captain? I'm not sure what. But do you know he had learned to type on a manual typewriter, because that's all that we had in those days. He could type 60 some words a minute. I'm not sure what the highest is, but he was promoted to an office job. And what that office job entailed was him typing up the head colonels. I'm not sure, I don't know anything about the service, but he was in charge of typing up his unit's orders for the day and giving them to that top-ranked man. He loved his job as typist. So he also had that skill. And from there, from the service, he spent, 3 years in the service, 2 years in the Air Force. When he came out, he had also learned how to play his bass while being in the service. And that was just kind of his recreation, because there were other men who had some musical talent. They put a band together. Now, mind you, he did not know how to play that bass. He only knew music notes because his mother insisted that he take piano lessons. You know the drill. Okay. So, he learned to play his bass, taught himself to play, and by the time he was out of the Air Force, he was playing so well that he would go down to a club in San Francisco where they would have sessions, and everybody could bring their instrument and they would take turns and play. And that's how he became a very fine bass player. Well, from there, he finished up at San Francisco State with a master's degree and was hired to teach at Chico State. He taught at Chico State for 3 years, and it was right at that time that he and I met and got married. He taught at Chico State. He was very good. He loved his teaching. He loved his students. And he still was playing his bass at parties and weddings and everything. So that was how he earned extra monies to help the family. He was teaching and playing his bass. Well, he was offered a position here at University of Oregon to complete or start his PhD, because in higher ed, the more degreed you are, and especially with your PhD, the better your chances are to maintain yourself as a professor. So he decided he should do that. And we moved to Eugene, where he was a teacher's assistant. In other words, he worked for other professors, grading papers, doing some of their work, while he was working on his degree, a PhD. And I'm telling you, that was hard work. So I want you to know that it's hard work, But I'd love to be here to see how many of you go on to get your PhD in anything and then become a professor, because being a professor was the highest honor he could have paid himself. He loved teaching at the university. And from the university, that's how he spent time being on committees, trying to help make Eugene a better place culturally and educationally. He was on committees. He dedicated himself to coming out to public schools and talking when teachers would ask him to come and talk about Black history or Black literature. That was one of his favorite things to do. And that's how he became just a fully developed, helping community professor, musician person. That's how it's done. You keep doing things that you enjoy doing and that you're good at, and you will also end up being the best that you can be. Always be the best that you can be. Is that enough? Can you make a mural from this? Okay. Bye again.